How's it going, YouTube? This is JTech95. So in the last video about this three-part series concerning building your own retro computer system, we discussed hardware, as in video cards, drives, motherboards, processors, things like that. And in the first part, we went over the basics. We talked about what kind of case you should get, what kind of system you want to build in the first place, and just the basic ins and outs of what to look for when you're building your first machine. In part 3 today, we're going to be talking about the software side of things, operating systems, and some other little pieces of software that can help when using your retro systems, as well as a handful of games that I would suggest to try out if you're just getting into DOS gaming or early Windows gaming, what have you. So sit back and hang tight, and let's start talking about software with your first retro computer system, this time on JTech95. Welcome back to JTech95. So to start out, I think operating systems would be a good place to start with, and then we'll move on to extra programs and utilities that can really help with using your system, and then we'll talk very briefly about games. I did a couple of videos talking about my top 10 favorite MS-DOS titles, and I did a second one with my buddy Travis talking about another 10, 5 favorites of mine and 5 favorites of his. So I'll put a link to those in the description below if you want to check those out at a later time. But yeah, let's first talk about operating systems, because really that's where it all begins. Now, when choosing your operating system to use, personal preference plays a big factor in this. But sometimes it can be as simple as, well, this is an operating system I've heard about, or, I've used when I was younger and I want to use it again. And it also has to do with what kind of system you're going to be building, games you want to play, and things like that. Just like everything else we've mentioned, the type of system you build will help jurisdict what operating system would be best suited for your particular build. So for example, if you're going to be playing primarily DOS titles and you don't want anything to do with Windows, then I suggest, MS-DOS. You could even use PC-DOS. There's a lot of different versions of DOS you can use. Personally, I stick primarily with MS-DOS version 6.22. It was one of the latest versions you could get. And actually, I believe it was the last commercially available version of DOS you could purchase at the store. You could get DOS 7.0, 7.1, things like that, but those were underneath like Windows 95, Windows 98. So MS-DOS 6.22 is a good option if you want to be able to have the utilities and tools that come with it, and just basic functionality. Previous versions of DOS will work okay as well, depending on the era you use, like DOS 3.3, DOS 5.0. But just keep in mind that older versions of DOS generally don't have the same amount of tools and utilities that DOS 6 and 6.22 have. So do your research on the different versions and see which one is best suited for you and what kind of applications and games you're going to be running. Now, if you do want to dabble in the Windows environment, if you have a 486 or below, Windows 3.1 is a good option to go for. And Windows for Workgroups version 3.11 is also a good option, especially if you want to implement networking. We'll get into networking applications and things later in this video, but between 3.1 and 3.11 for Workgroups, it depends on what you want to do. Now, Windows 3.x was a series that was designed to run on top of DOS as a shell. It wasn't a standalone operating system. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. A lot of programs that were designed for Windows 95 and up will not work with Windows 3.1 or 3.11. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Now, if you are more interested in playing Windows games from the mid-90s and up, Windows 95 is a good option, as is Windows 98. Now keep in mind, Windows 95 will run on a high-end 486. Technically, early versions of 95 will run on 386s. But in all honesty, if you're going to run Windows 95, I would highly suggest using a Pentium, like a Pentium 90 or a Pentium 133 or higher. The higher the better, depending on what you want to do with it. Windows 98, I would strongly recommend using a Pentium 2 system if you're going to go the 98 route, because there's a little bit more going on under the hood than there is under Windows 95. Now, just really quick, I want to point out, if you do want to still play DOS titles, but you're building a Windows 98 or 95 machine, generally MS-DOS titles will run just fine under 95 or 98, because both of those operating systems technically still ran on top of DOS as well, just they could be installed standalone, unlike Windows 3.1 or 3.11. Now there's other options out there that you can use, like OS2, OS2 Warp, things like that. I'm not going to get into those here because I really don't know much about them. This series is primarily for those of you who want to build MS-DOS and or Windows-based systems. Now, when it comes to utilities to install and use on your retro computer system, it all depends on what you want to do and what you need. One of the first things to go over is benchmarks. Now, when it comes to MS-DOS based systems, I choose the benchmark pack from Phil's Computer Lab. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But this is an absolutely exquisite collection of different benchmark utilities for use with MS-DOS based systems. It includes things like Landmark System Speed Test, SpeedSys, 3D Bench, PC Player Benchmark, as well as some timed demos of games like Doom and Quake. This pack comes in handy when testing system speeds and testing cards and other things that you want to use in your system. I highly recommend that one for DOS-based systems. Now, if you're using a Windows system, and one of the benchmark packs that you can use is WinBench from Ziff Davis Company and WinSpeed from Chris Hewitt. Both of those are really good for benchmarking older Windows-based systems. Now, for diagnostics, there's a couple that I tend to use. One of them is Checkit Pro from Touchstone Corporation and AmiDiag from American Megatrends. Checkit Pro is good because it covers a wide range of different systems and time periods, and it has quite a few awesome built-in tools you can use. AmiDiag, well, yes, it's generally designed for systems using American Megatrends BIOS. I've used it on certain award-based systems, and it works just fine. Now, if you're planning on doing TCP/IP networking under DOS, an application suite I'd look into is MTCP from Brootman. This is an amazing suite of software, including a DHCP client, FTP client, a ping command, telnet client. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can use, but it basically allows you to use an MS-DOS based system with TCP/IP Ethernet networking connectivity. The system requirements are pretty low as well. You can use it with an 8088 based processor or higher, and you really only need, at minimum, I would say about 384K of system memory, but certain applications in this suite can be used as systems as low as 96K. You also require DOS 2.1 or newer and a network card. So yeah, that's a really good application to use for networking under DOS. Now, if you're using Windows 3.1 or 3.11 and you want to do networking, the important thing to remember is that Windows for Workgroups 3.11 came with built-in networking functionality, and it could also use TCP/IP, but that required a separate installation. But you can find that at most places online, on Vogons, you name it. Now, if you're using Windows 3.1, on the other hand, you're going to have to use a completely standalone networking stack and dialer, like Trumpet WinSock. that will allow you to use TCP/IP functionality under Windows 3.1. Another piece of software I'd like to briefly touch on is Easy Drive from Western Digital. This really comes in handy because on certain older systems, the BIOS has limitations on how big of a hard drive you can use, and sometimes if you have a larger compact flash or even a larger hard disk drive, the BIOS will not be able to use it to its full capacity because the BIOS is only designed to handle hard drive sizes up to a specified size. Using Easy Drive, it helps bypass that by allowing you to configure parameters to use larger disk drives and storage with older systems. And one final utility I'd briefly like to touch on is Unisound from JSFox. This is a really popular, modern, community-developed utility for DOS that acts as a universal plug-and-play sound card driver and initializer for ISA-based sound cards like Sound Blasters and Aztecs, you name it. It helps by eliminating the need to hunt down and install and configure a lot of these resource-heavy sound cards. That's nice because it's not a resident background driver, so it doesn't use a bunch of your system memory. All it is, it's a really light executable that initializes the hardware of the sound card when you boot it up, and then it exits memory when you're all done. So it's really, really nice when setting up sound cards in retro machines because it takes a lot of the headache and strain and memory constraints out of the equation. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Now when it comes to games to play, that all depends on what you want to play, what genre, what style, what kind of system you're going to be running it on, so will your system be able to play it? You know, it all depends on things like that. But a couple games I would strongly recommend to give a try under MS-DOS is Ken's Labyrinth and Skyroads. Those are both really fun games, and I don't hear them talked about as much as I really think they should be. And as I stated earlier, I made a couple of videos, one of them with my buddy Travis, about some of our favorite MS-DOS based games. So check those out if you'd like to. For Windows, I mean, there's all sorts of different games you can play for that as well, like Half-Life, Forsaken. But one other game I would strongly suggest giving a try is Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. It originally came out on the Nintendo 64, but it was later ported to Windows-based systems. And personally, I think that's the better version of the two by far. But if there's any Nintendo purists out there watching this, I apologize. I just really, really find the Windows port of the game to be just a little bit more easy to handle, and personally I find it a little bit more fun as well. But yeah, guys, that concludes part 3 of building your first retro computer system. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, if you have any other questions or comments, concerns, feel free to leave me a comment or shoot me an email. The email address is in my channel description. If you liked seeing this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more retro computing content like this, why don't you hit that subscribe button? I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, guys, y'all have a good one. Hope to see you next time. Catch y'all later.